Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Pray for Madrid. They have injuries. Saka's back, of course. Pray for Madrid and pray for Bayern Munich. The confidence is rising in the Arsenal camp a little bit. Not much. From 15 to 20%. It risen 5% in the Arsenal camp over the last 2 days because of the injuries. Van Dijk is cooked again, but he signs a new contract. Of course, he signs a new contract. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. That's just completely a clickbaity thing. He doesn't. He doesn't. But Van Dijk spoke positively about the contract, that there are negotiations going, that he loves the fans, he loves Liverpool, he loves the place. So it looks like Van Dijk is going to stay. But he got cooked, as Dan said. Dan was not wrong. Dan was not wrong. He was cooked. Like, just to be honest. Nunez bullied him in the whole game. He bullied Konate as well. But Van Dijk getting cooked is something else, to be honest. Enzo Maresca had a flat game against Brentford, where Brentford should have won the game if it wasn't for the one guy that everyone is saying he should leave, which is Sanchez. He had a brilliant game, to be honest with you. Why is Cole Palmer falling off? Because I want to have this conversation. Why has Cole Palmer completely been falling off? He wasn't injured yesterday, and it's a manager's choice to leave your best player on the bench, right? To choose another tactics, comes off the bench, still plays on that left side, still, and the central area, not going to the right side. Jadon Sancho is protected for some whatever reason, we don't know why. He should have been subbed off as well. Arsenal get cheated by the PGMOL again in a penalty that shouldn't be a penalty. And Leny Yoro versus Skelly conversation that I don't think Rory is aware of what we're talking about unless he watches footage more and MHF. He doesn't know. There is a new trend, is that who has a higher ceiling? Is it Lewis Skelly or Leny Yoro? From both of them. Staffy started this, and it went to be someone that people tweeted about it later, actually, on Twitter. Some people took it and just started tweeting about it because people are criticizing Lewis Skelly because there was a penalty that was called against him that is not a penalty, which is crazy. You criticize someone who is penalized for something that he didn't do. Then you go to the media and criticize him. It's actually crazy. It's this thing against Arsenal fans and Arsenal players and everything. Salah has fallen off in the last 2-3 games, in the last 2-3 weeks. He's had 2 games without a GA, which is something that he's not accustomed to. Why is he falling off? Is he worth the new contract? Is he worth the new contract? Hit that like button, people, if you're here. That's a 5-minute intro, plus the 2 minutes that I did. So 3-minute intro is kind of long, to be honest. Hit that like button, people, if you're here. Let's get to 100 likes right out of the bat. Over 100 people joined us. and we haven't even started talking. I'm thankful to Rory and Dan who are here on time. Staff is a fraud. Tom is a fraud. Jamie is thick. So Jamie at least has an excuse. Staffy just woke up late.
Did you say Jamie's thick?
He's ill, yeah. Yeah, that's how we say it.
Oh, sick.
Oh,
I thought you said,
in America, by the way, this is something that is actually, when I first started doing YouTube, in America, sick being, it's called a sick leave.
Yeah.
But in Britain, sick mean crazy or cool or something like this.
No, but I thought you said thick.
As in stupid.
With a TH, like dumb.
No.
I thought you were just like, Jamie's dumb, so he'll probably turn up at some point when he figures out the time.
He's ill. He's ill a little bit, so he's ill. Yeah. How are you guys doing?
I just want
away from football. I'm all right.
I love guys like you guys are both like you put the smile on your face every time you do YouTube. Even here, even Rory, I've watched. I'm gonna play your TikTok video that I want to understand what is that. By the way, I'm gonna download it and play it. I'm not gonna tell the people in the chat what it is, but you have to explain yourself to what it is. But you always guys are smiling, even though the football has been completely dire for your teams this weekend. To be honest.
Yeah. But we've got Champions League quarterfinal tomorrow night, so
yeah,
I'm excited.
Oh yeah, me too, bro. Yeah. But I'm favorites. You're not. That's the difference.
That's because Bayern Munich's.
Even if you were playing Bayern, you weren't going to be favorites.
We'd be favorites against Bayern right now.
Bayern,
Have you seen their injury list? Well, they've got no players.
Can your defense hold on like Harry Kane and Lorizane and stuff like this?
I reckon.
Okay. We're lucky. I have to admit, I think we're the luckiest team in the whole of the competition. No one is luckier than us, to be honest. Yeah. No one is luckier than us. But listen, I want to start with Chelsea a little bit. Now, we'll have to start with Chelsea. You're the first one on the stream. We'll have to start with
yeah.
All right.
Fair.
What happened to Cole Palmer?
He got dropped. No, he's being rested, I think, for our massive game against Legia Warsaw. I think that's all. That's what I've worked out.
It doesn't make sense.
It has to be. It has to be.
No. Okay, be logical. Okay.
I think there's been slight concern with an injury, and I think they are limiting minutes if a game is going to be in that closer distance. And I think they wanted to play against Warsaw, so I think they felt like they could take a gamble against Brentford. For me, I'm not sure it was the right thing. I don't think it paid off because they had to bring him on anyway. But I don't think he was probably quite shocked to find out he wasn't starting that game anyway. I think he would have been shocked. I think the one thing Maresca did with that game was rotate a number of Chelsea's better performing players. And it probably sort of said, like, Champions League football isn't my priority. Winning the Conference League might be.
That's mental.
Oh, I know.
That's crazy,
I know.
But the thing is, I'd almost get that more from there's some fans that are just like, trophies mean more than, even if it's a Conference League, trophies mean more than top four or whatever. From fans, I'd get it. But surely, like, business perspective, if Maresca is the puppet for the owners, business perspective, winning the Conference League does literally nothing for you. Qualifying for the Champions League is like guaranteed 100 mil.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it from that perspective at all.
I honestly can't get my head around it. It's absolutely baffled me because I think without saying it, if you read between the lines, he's shown his priorities, like where they lie. Because 3 points against Brentford would have been incredibly good for Chelsea in going into this run, and we've got in a couple of weeks' time against some of the bigger teams.
I think it will be essential. 3 points against Brentford is essential for Chelsea.
The only theory I did see is that because UEFA, there was that whole thing that UEFA aren't accepting your income from selling the women's team and selling the hotels to yourselves, that you might know that a Champions League ban is probably coming. And therefore, qualifying for the Champions League would be irrelevant because you'd be banned from it, and so you're prioritizing the Conference League.
Fair enough. Would we face a full European ban? Probably.
Yeah, but you'd have
Yes,
already won the
yes.
Conference League.
Right, I see. Yeah, so we might as well
Yeah,
pick
a
up last
full
year's
European
game.
ban. It's like you're not
Yeah.
playing in the competitions like Juventus.
Yeah, so because
Yeah.
I was
Juventus
thinking, why would-
accepted that as
yeah,
well.
yeah, I see. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be definitely could be.
I
because-
mean, imagine if Chelsea don't win this Conference League after this.
oh, don't say that, Tom, please.
Yeah, imagine you lose to Legia Warsaw anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Go full strength and then lose. That would be great.
But why? Okay, so about Palmer, we all agree that Palmer has fell off in terms of performances versus the beginning of the season last season. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Why? We were talking in the beginning. Okay, Jamie Carragher said that, oh, he has been playing the best player in the world over the last 18 months and the best player in the Premier League to completely. Okay, just he's one of the guys. Like, what? There has to be a reason why Cole Palmer. Is he going to ever be back to being one of the best players in the league?
I think he will.
Okay, I'm going to talk about, rational talk. Is Palmer ever going to return to his normal levels? Yes, he'll be fine.
In this Chelsea team, though, it's a question.
I don't think he will under
In
Maresca.
this, the question, Tom, is that a lot of people have raised the question: if they continue, if Maresca wins Conference League and they don't make Champions League, they might keep Maresca. Is he gonna go back to the catalyst of this team, or Maresca's system is gonna deprive him with that thing that everything goes through you? No, it's not Enzo Fernandez, it's not Caicedo, it's not the wingers. It is you who create the majority of the chances for us. Because, to be honest with you, for Liverpool, everything goes through Salah, and that's why Salah thrives. He's a smart player, Mohamed Salah, but everything goes through him. You have to have a platform for your best player to thrive. I don't think Chelsea have offered Palmer this season. He hasn't.
I think Chelsea are still, when Palmer's on the pitch, Chelsea still look to play through him. I just think his game's being limited by where he's getting on the ball. I think I've said this for a while now. Where Cole Palmer is occupying, the positions Cole Palmer is occupying on the pitch are seriously limiting his output, for sure. And I think that's the thing that has driven his confidence into the ground. And now we've got an uphill battle of getting his confidence back in a system where I don't think you're getting the best out of him. And I think that's what is going to be the case under Maresca until Maresca either changes and figures that out or is ultimately removed from his post.
I don't think he'll
change that.
Yeah, I don't think he'll thrive under any manager that has a really rigid, systematic approach. I think there's a reason that Man City and Pep Guardiola were willing to let him go in the first place, or hadn't seen the best of him, because it's a similar rigid system. I think even for England, when he's played under Southgate, where he's started games and it's been like that, he's not thrived as much as like if he comes off the bench and we need something, you have more freedom given to you anyway. I think he'd thrive at somewhere like Real Madrid at this point, where they're attacking players.
I could see that.
Give him a free rein.
I think you can work in that type of system, but he needs the right players around him. So, I think a big problem that he's had in recent weeks is, there's no Jackson to play him behind or play into and play off of. So he's been not able to get forward as much. And then when he tries to go out wide, because Neto's ended up going up top, he's been playing out to players who want to occupy the same positions as him and play the same way as him in those areas. If he's able to get, or if Chelsea are able to put wingers around him and a number 9 in front of him, he has that space to operate in. I think the problem that he's had is that because Jackson's not been there and because Neto's been up top and Madueke's been injured, the team has been too, every player in an attacking third wants the ball to feet. And that's not the way Palmer wants to play make and wants to play off of. So, and I think that Maresca's also shit the bed himself a little bit and started playing him as a centre mid almost at points and moving him into positions where he's not going to be as effective. At the end of the day, if Chelsea get wingers around him and a number 9 to play off of, Palmer will go back to the level that he showed for a solid 12-month period.
Yeah, Tom, but I thought about that with most of their attackers, I'll be honest. I felt like a lot of them are underperforming, and one of my takes for the longest has been that I think a lot of them are very good individually. They're just not good collectively. Because when you look at Sancho as an example, a lot of the excuses given to him is that he doesn't have a natural number 9. Now we're talking about Palmer not having runners around him. Nico Jackson, who's also another player who's bold of feet. If he has more pacey direct wingers,
I don't think Jackson's ball to feet. Well. I think Jackson can play ball to feet, but I think Jackson's also quite willing to make runs in behind.
No, I said he is. That's what I'm saying. He is ball to feet. But I'm saying there's too many of them that are ball to feet.
No,
feel like
I'm
you need
thinking
to
more
link
of
up
your.
with people, and you need runners at some point. Like it has to be a good balance between.
Yeah, but Jackson was the runner. Yesterday, their best chance was Jackson running in behind, and the ball is played behind, but she just had an awful
The problem
finish.
Palmer had is he's been dealing with front threes of Neto up front who doesn't want to run in behind, who wants to receive the ball to feet and try and be a false nine.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm saying.
Kunku who's dog shit, and Sancho who in the Premier League is not very good either. All three of them just want to occupy the same place that he does, so there's no space for him.
So
he ends
another
up going out
rebuild.
wide.
Wait, by the way, have we
Another
all came
rebuild.
to the conclusion that
Oh
he's
my
dog
God.
shit in Kunku? And this is a real
Yes.
question.
No,
Eh,
no, actually,
Okay,
I actually.
by the way,
haven't.
for
I actually haven't.
Chelsea is dog shit. We're not going to
Yeah,
argue.
I think
this
he's
again.
down tools for Chelsea mentality wise, but I actually think he's
Down
going to go
tools.
somewhere else, and I think he'll thrive again. I think he'll be good.
I think Christopher Nkunku is just another Sancho in the Bundesliga where there's space, where there's so much time because it's this high.
Sancho's
high
never
octane
scored that many
league.
goals, Tom. Never scored that many goals.
No, I'm
This
saying
guy got like
I'm-
40 goals in a season.
No, I know, but I'm saying they suit the style of the Bundesliga more with their play in terms of
Probably,
how they
maybe,
want
yeah.
to play.
I think he could go. I
Sancho
think
is
he
really
could
creative in
go
the
to a
Bundesliga.
number of different countries and do better than what he's currently doing in England.
could-
I
he
think
could
he
do
could go
well
to
in
another team in
France.
England that was willing to. Like, you can't tell me that. All right, maybe the Premier League's intensity is a little bit tougher, and the confidence for Nkunku's low, and I think he's just fed up with life at Chelsea, and I don't think he really is that bothered about it. It kind of winds me up to know that he's running about with a sock in his a balloon in his sock the whole game, and he's really not trying. But I think he could have gone and played in Marmoush's position for City, and at one point in time that would have been a good signing. I think he could have fitted in there. But I think
Who are you
now
talking
what we
about, Neto?
see, I'm talking about Nkunku. I think we saw Nkunku playing a similar role to what Marmoush did for Frankfurt at Red Bull or RB Leipzig, and I think he could have fitted in there. I think City could have looked at him as an Alvarez replacement.
I think the only one that would have really worked is if he'd have joined us after we sold Mane and he played that false nine position. But even then, I think it's more of an intrinsic problem with Nkunku where he doesn't. I'm not saying you have to enjoy it, but he doesn't engage in the physical battles. The moment a defender comes right up to him, he almost just sort of shits himself and goes, "Oh, fuck it, you can have the ball then. I'll wait until I get the ball in more space to try and do something." That's not happening in the Premier League. In the Premier League,
I don't even see him going into those battles, Tom. To be honest with you, I haven't seen him.
He tries to shake out of them, but the times where he's put into them, the ones where he can't get out of it, he doesn't even try and hold off the man or try and win the duel. He just sort of, he felt just moves out the way and lets the defender get there.
I just think that whole situation's a complete mess. I think obviously him getting injured, Cole Palmer like absolutely doing better than anyone ever thought he'd do, and him being now mismanaged, misprofiled, and now losing confidence and probably not wanting to be there. The whole situation's a mess. He was also signed by a director that's no longer at the club as well. So I think they'll get rid of him. They would have got rid of him in January if the fee or the deal had been right. It wasn't. I think they kept him. I think he'll be gone in the summer and never.
So you're gonna get a new striker, a new left.
I don't know what we get in. But
for Chelsea to work, you need a striker, new left winger, a centre back, and a goalkeeper. So 4 players.
You did a lot, bro.
Yeah. Oh, we do.
And you need a bench player in the center of the midfield there.
Well, everyone was saying, "Oh, Chelsea are only like maybe 3, like a goalkeeper, a striker, and one other player away from." Yeah,
the entire span of the team.
Yeah. Well, now I think it's evident to see that we're probably a little bit more further away than what people thought at first.
Yeah.
But I would say with Cole Palmer, by the way, I think one of the biggest things has been where one Enzo Fernandez has thrived is the area that Maresca's allowing him to play in, is that sort of right-hand side of the 10 where he bombs on from 8, gets onto the edge of the box, works his way in to create. That's where Cole Palmer's found his best football as well under Maresca. But for some reason, Maresca seems to think there's a better balance with Cole Palmer occupying the left-hand sort of sided channel of the 10. Enzo Fernandez goes into that other side. And I just don't think the balance is there for me. And I just almost think they could operate switched roles. And I think it would work a lot better, because I think Palmer's got this natural link up with Madueke that he has as well. That's been lost now as well with either Neto
because of Enzo Fernandez, Tom. Me and Dan spoke about this because of how Enzo Fernandez plays.
I get that, but it comes to a point where you look at it logically. Cole Palmer's your best player. You put him in the positions where he can play best, and then you put other players in positions to accommodate that. You put Palmer out on the left, you lose 90% of his goal threat because he can't
Well,
cut
he's
in.
not out on the left, but he like drifts into that half space from
into
the
that
10.
left channel because out in that left channel, he can't cut in and shoot. He's on his strong. All he can do is try and.
He is
float across it.
one-footed. I think at the end of the day, we can all accept that he is predominantly like one-footed. He's got one direction to go. He's trying. It's not like he isn't trying. He's trying to work crosses now. He obviously got that assist the other day for Enzo Fernandez crossing it from out wide. But look, Maresca's got that wrong, and it's not a new thing. It's been happening for a while now. But the longer it goes on for Cole Palmer, the less and less confidence he's got going onto the pitch every time.
Do you think he leaves Chelsea at all?
I think
is there anyone here thinks that he can leave Chelsea at all?
I think he could one day. I just don't see in the near future where he would go, under what scenario.
Yeah, I think
if they miss out on his contract,
if they either miss out or are banned from the Champions League, and he's looking at the prospect of thinking, I'm not going to be a Champions League player for at least a couple of years, that could prompt a move.
Yeah, but you got to look at his market, and I don't see a market for him right now. It would help massively.
Oh, there's a market for him.
Barcelona.
So he's not going to Barcelona, but here's my thing.
Real Madrid. Why would you need to go to Barcelona?
They're broke.
Where's he going to play?
No, they're just broke.
How can they afford him? They're sitting there.
No, pretend that they can afford him. I'm not even going to worry about the money. Where does he even go? Is he going to start over Yamal?
Play as a 10. Pedri and De Jong.
Is he going ahead of Pedri in that midfield?
Pedri and De Jong behind him. He plays ahead of a lot of them.
They'd play him in the 10, like the 10's like Fermin Lopez or something.
Yeah, exactly. And they're looking to sell Fermin Lopez actually in the summer.
Does he just not play?
Well, he keeps getting injured, which is part of the problem.
He keeps getting injured, and when he's not injured, he's like constantly not allowed to be registered or registered.
He's not allowed to play for some whatever reason.
I think he is. He was deregistered, and then I think the government has stepped in and now said that he can't be deregistered because he has the right to work. But it's all a massive mess.
Crazy deregistered. Can you imagine being deregistered from the team? That is
what Barca did was insane. They literally employed a bullshit auditor
for Real Madrid. Oh yeah, Bellingham is there. He wouldn't start over Bellingham.
He's not going to play for Real Madrid.
It would help massively if he never played for City, and if United were actually a competent team in the top four. Madrid, one of those would go for him.
Madrid could move Rodrigo on and play Palmer off the right.
I think they.
If Rodrigo ever forced
it. Do you think Cole Palmer can produce better than Rodrigo?
Yeah,
just a question.
Probably.
Yeah. I think Rodrigo's got like 1 goal in 17 games.
I think we're the only panel here on YouTube that we all... Okay, first of all, do we all agree that Rodrigo is good, but he's not like what people think he is? Like people talk about Rodrigo like he's Maradona.
I think he's that, but he'll never be that in Madrid. I think as long as he's behind Mbappe and Vinny.
Is he like Pedro at Barcelona, like back in the day?
I also don't think.
Oh my God, Dan, you are fantastic, bro. Pedro,
no, wait, hold on. No. Rodrigo's much more talented than Pedro.
It's not about talented. Talented is different. We're not talking about
he's a third option.
We're not talking about the talent, but we're talking about your role at the team, basically.
Okay,
I think Pedro's one of the more underrated players.
Yeah, Pedro. To say
Pedro Barcelona was clutch. Pedro Barcelona.
It's not outrageous to say Rodrigo.
Oh, look at Pedro's goals in the Premier League and tell me he's not got talent or like not got ability.
I said he's more talented.
To compare Rodrigo to someone, Rodrigo be like Alexis Sanchez.
I was going to say Sanchez. Yeah, I was going to say Sanchez.
He's more.
But Rodrigo's a left winger.
Alexis Sanchez was ridiculously good when he joined Arsenal.
I think he has a very similar skill set.
When he joined Arsenal,
no, because you think about it, Sanchez was Rodrigo in Barcelona. As soon as he left, he went to Arsenal. He just exploded as a talent.
I don't think anyone.
I don't think Rodrigo can reach Alexis Sanchez level.
I think
Alexis Sanchez used to be the terrifying guy in the Premier League. Everyone that played Arsenal.
No, but in Barcelona, Mo, he wasn't that because of who was in front of him.
Okay, maybe I'll listen. I'll listen more.
When he arrived, when he made the move from Barca to Arsenal, no one was expecting him to be that player at Arsenal. I don't think.
Right.
Like, everyone knew he was a good player.
I don't think anyone expected.
Okay, but my point is Rodrigo. I don't think Rodrigo is as talented as Alexis Sanchez, even when he was at Barcelona.
He definitely has the skill set to be.
He's a left winger. The biggest problem is he's a left winger that wants to cut in onto his right, but he's played off the right for both Brazil and Real Madrid because of Vinny Jr. So I think if you went and stuck him on the left wing somewhere, I'd love him at Arsenal, to be honest.
Also, if you want to just be crude about it and compare numbers for Rodrigo and Sanchez, at Barca, Sanchez got 14, 11, and 21 in his 3 seasons there. Rodrigo's last 3 seasons, that's goals, by the way, his last 3 seasons, 14, 17, and 19.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Very similar numbers.
If you take that to, bear in mind, this is him playing off in an unfamiliar position, sometimes off the bench. If you took him to whatever team, let's just say, for example, I won't go there, but Chelsea, you brought him to Chelsea and you played him off the left wing, could I see those numbers go from 19 to 29? Could I see him get an extra 10 goals if he's played in his actual position? Yes, I could.
Guys, he's talking about Alexis Sanchez, not Rodrigo. I just wanted to establish this.
I was talking about Rodrigo then. So...
Oh, okay.
If Rodrigo,
how would Alexis Sanchez go to Chelsea when he's
no, because Rodrigo has had this season 6 goals only in La Liga. Last season he has had.
I'm on about all comps, Mo.
Oh, okay.
You're playing all competitions. Like Rodrigo's got 5 goals in the Champions League this year. I'd count them. Champions League goals are important. So I just look at that.
Sanchez was played off the right as well in Barcelona. He wasn't playing in his favorite position.
But I think
way,
was Sanchez not like Pedro's replacement?
No, they were both there.
Both at the same time.
Technically, Sanchez left before Pedro did. Pedro
really
did. I remember that. They took him from Udinese. I can't remember how many years he was there. I think he was there only
2011.
He only had 3 years.
I think he was supposed to be the David Villa replacement, but then he just
and he played. He played kind of.
He was the David Villa replacements. I think Sanchez was brought in to just be an attacking option. Neymar became the David Villa replacements, and then there was a whole thing about trying to move alternately. And then Suarez came in as the Sanchez replacement. Well, Suarez came in and Sanchez had to go.
Then they did MSN,
yeah, and Pedro was the 4th choice behind MSN for a season.
I think
Rafinha, guys, can we just establish something? Rodrigo would not leave Real Madrid to go to Chelsea. Okay, just
I'm not saying swap deal.
Example.
I'm not saying swap deal. Back to the original point.
He could do really well at Arsenal, Rodrigo. If you want a more realistic one.
I would love him at Arsenal.
Well, then he literally would be like Sanchez.
No, imagine Rodrigo and
Sanchez. Take him at United. Imagine him in the left 10.
Yeah,
the dreams again. Here comes the dreams again.
I said I wouldn't say he will.
Why would it fine?
Rodrigo leaving Mbappe.
I would love to win the lottery. You know you won't win it, but you'd love to win the lottery. Of course.
No, but you can win the lottery. There's a possibility you can win the lottery. There's a 0 possibility.
This is Staffy manifesting.
There's never 0 possibility. Stop saying that.
There is a 0 possibility Rodrigo goes now to Man United in the summer.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
Runs out.
There is a possibility.
Maybe he wants to play with world-class Bruno. You don't know that.
Maybe there is a possibility Chelsea can fund if they make Champions League. There is a world where Chelsea convinced Rodrigo to come to start on the left wing. Maybe 5%.
If he didn't make Champions League, would you say it's still 0% possibility?
Yes, I think so. Still, I think so. I think so.
I don't know. I don't know if you actually believe that.
My original point was Palmer at Madrid off the right wing, I think would be very good. And even if you're talking about like effectiveness, those numbers that Rodrigo's got, what was it, like 13, 14 and 19 or whatever goals? I think Palmer comfortably scores more than 20 goals a season at Madrid playing off the right.
Without a shadow of a doubt. That's why I say there's a market for him.
Listen, with Trent and Jude there, maybe.
Yeah.
100%, bro. Trent behind him, Mbappe as a forward, Vinny on the left. Cole Palmer would cook.
Man, imagine Cole Palmer. And one thing he's definitely got over Rodrigo is his passing range. Finding Kylian Mbappe, making runs in behind.
Oh yeah, bro, he would cook. But listen, that's for Chelsea, guys. Over 300 people in the house who aren't even on 100 likes. It's 60 likes, so we need to get that to 200. Hit that like button. People, all the guys' channels in the description. Rory Talks Football, who started dropping videos again. Dan, Staffy TV, and Tom Little as well. Yes.
Sorry, someone just said what Palmer goals for Madrid. Most come from penalties, which isn't even true. He wouldn't be a penalty. He literally would be the penalty taker. They can't decide which penalty taker to have because they're all shit at them. He would.
I mean, it should be
very
Mbappe.
Definitely be the penalty taker.
Oh, he's shit in penalties. His technique is shit. Mbappe.
Yeah, none of them can do it.
Mbappe's technique in penalties. Have you watched him go to penalties? People really can guess where he's going.
This guy scored 3 penalties in the World Cup final. What are you talking about?
You watch him take penalties. I think Palmer is way
I
better.
watched him and I watched Vinny, and he's
I think
better than Vinny.
Mbappe missed 2 for Madrid this season. Vinny's missed 2 for Madrid this season.
I mean, Mbappe
Bellingham's
missed one
maybe
against us. He missed one
Yeah.
against us.
And he missed
Yeah, I wouldn't
one
say
in the
shit.
weekend and just last weekend.
No, that was Vinny. Or was it Mbappe the weekend before? I don't know.
I think it's Sociedad or something like this. He just missed some penalty. But anyway, moving on. Virgil van Dijk is signing a new contract, but he got cooked, as Dan stated last video, and you just didn't like it.
I forgot to send the fail comps so we could watch them together. I have to send them for next week, for Friday. I've got all of them ready. I've got a Vidic one. I've got a Ferdinand one. I've got a Terry one. You know, I'm ready to show the world.
Have you got a Van Dijk one?
The Van Dijk one I found.
Of course you don't
I
have
found
a Van
one.
Dijk one.
I did find one, but it was 2 minutes long. But half of it was replays from preseason.
You have
games.
to add in another 30 seconds from the last 2.
Yeah, no, I would have to now. Like,
Yeah.
but still, I'll see if I can find one which isn't just replays from a preseason game where he came back from an ACL, because that was literally a minute of a 2 minute.
We're finding out with Van Dijk that there's a way that players have an approach playing against him that now, if you play in a certain way, is causing him more issues than he's had before.
Yeah.
Are you saying that he's not worth a new contract?
I would still give him a contract if I was Liverpool. Yeah. Because
So,
I don't know who they get in that's better than Van Dijk. My original point was that I think Van Dijk in a different era might be held differently in terms of the weight of his name.
I think it's quite simple.
Yeah, that's true, actually, Rory.
I think it's pretty simple. We just need to start resting him more. This season, he's started pretty much every single game he could do. The man's 34, you know, and he's had like an ACL. You can't keep He's gonna eventually start to tire in a season. But the problem is the manager doesn't have a backup that he trusts. And obviously, another problem is there's no centre back who can close the gap to Van Dijk. But that's kind of what you've got to accept. That's why I think that the centre back that we sign in the summer, it's going to be a really important one, because they're going to have to step in and play alongside Konate, because you have to give Van Dijk. So if you want Van Dijk to be able to perform, no, I want us to get Mark Gahey.
Oh, okay, fair.
Because I think he can do both left centre back and right centre back, and then you can keep Quants as a fourth choice then to you know, sort of manage him a little bit closer. But I think that's what needs to happen. I'm not gonna let a 2 week, not even 2 week, a 1 week spell, because I don't even think he was that bad against Newcastle. I think it was more so Konate that game. But I'm not going to let a bad 1 week change my view on what's been a really, really good season from him, where he's dragged him and Salah have been the key pieces in getting us to a Premier League title. So I'm glad they're getting the contract. I mean, I'm annoyed it's taken this long to get it sorted. It's been a whole fucking thing all season, which, you know, who knows how it could have played out if we weren't there at the start of the season. But I'm glad he's getting that new deal, you know. And I'm glad Salah's getting one as well. So
can I ask you,
and you move on from it?
Okay, on the Salah thing, why has Salah been criticized heavily lately? Are we seeing that a little bit slow down of Salah lately? Because he starts season very well. No, you don't think so?
You are seeing the real stupid thing our team has done, which is, for the first 7 months of this season, when Mohamed Salah was playing like the best player on the planet, the attacking plan was give the ball to Mohamed Salah and everyone else make runs off of him, and he'll pick the right option. And you'll either get a goal or you'll get an assist, and Liverpool will win games. In the past month, Liverpool have stopped giving him runners to pass to. So teams then just start going, well, you're not going to run, we'll just mark him. And then you can't pass the ball to him, then what do? If you start giving him the runners again, if you start having the movements again around him, it drags players away, and you can start relying on what made him so good this season, which is his decision-making and his quality of pass. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing of, oh, he's been bad, it'll go away. But I don't know whether it's to do with the fact that we haven't had a right back for like a month. So Quansah has been there, or Jones has been there, and they're not natural right backs, and they don't get free up space. I don't know. But if we go back to having the runners in the way that we did at the start of the season, you'll see the numbers for Salah improve again.
Wait, what do you mean they stopped giving him the runners that he had in the beginning of the season? Like, what happened? Because the same players are pretty much there.
the same players are there, but they're not
They're
doing
all
the same
knackered.
things. Yeah. It's 14 players playing 45 plus games. The goosed. Certain players had to come in more.
They're
And they
going
haven't done.
slot.
Yeah, if you want to be cynical about it, yes, I think a potential reason why we are slowing down is because Slot hasn't rotated enough. But then I go, I can't get at the manager if he doesn't trust the players. If he doesn't
But also,
trust
by
the
not
players,
rotating, he put you far enough at the top of the league that you're going to win
he
it.
did.
So-
He did. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know, we should be fine for the rest of the season. But I think that the reason we've struggled in recent games is because the players haven't been making the same level of movement. And, you know, it doesn't help as well that there is no right. Curtis Jones goes and plays in midfield, which then means that the left back doesn't need to track his run, so he can just stay on Salah and stop him getting any space. If it's Quansah, no one marks Quansah because it's Jarrell fucking Quansah at right back. So the winger can then double up on Salah and completely stop the ball getting into him. When Bradley came on yesterday, Salah got into the game. And he was able to start doing bits because he's the right back who makes the correct runs. And yet, I'm sure there'll be people in the comments going, oh, does that mean Salah's a system player? Yes. Every great player is a fucking system player. Every great player benefits from the system around them, bar Lionel Messi. Every great player does. Guess what? That's football. But I'm not worried about him because I know that he's got the quality there. People, are we going to continue doing the doubting thing after 8 seasons of this shit? You know, people say, oh, he ends seasons badly. He still averages pretty much a goal contribution in the last 10 games of every single season. So, you know, I'm not stressed about it. I just think if you start playing the likes of Elliott and you start playing the likes of Chiesa, players who have the energy to make the runs and the IQ to make the runs and pick the passes, then you'll start seeing a return to form. But the fact of the matter is, certain players in this team are just goosed. Each of the midfielders has started 40 games.
I actually have to be honest. I actually just checked while Tom was talking about the number of touches that Salah averages in the beginning of the season versus now. And Salah averaged double the number of touches in the beginning of the season than now. So people are not giving him enough.
The runners were there to create the space for him. And then he...
Well, maybe it's a fact that he's not moving it. But the problem is, forget the stats. Now I'm talking about Salah, and every time I'm watching him, he's crossing to the first guy. He is not being as effective as in the beginning of the season. Like, he used to be way more decisive in the beginning of the season in terms of his passing. Now I feel like he's crossing out of just the job. Let me cross the ball, and it hits the first man. And every time he tries to dribble now, he's failing to dribble. In the beginning of the season, he used to take one-on-ones. Like, I just checked the stats, and yes, the number of touches have went down, but also the successful dribbles percentages, the number of crosses, and the number of successful crosses, the number of successful passes in the final third.
But you are explaining it all. Because the team around him isn't doing the same work that it was doing beforehand, the opportunities for him to do this stuff lessens. If he's touching the ball less, he's obviously going to have less chance to dribble successfully and less chance to put in good crosses. It also doesn't help that the crosses that he was putting in that were so effective this season were to Gakpo. Gakpo hasn't been fit for the last month. He only came back this last game, and that was ironically when Salah put in a really good cross in the first half that Gakpo really should have got on the end of and scored. I'm not stressing out about it with him. People have been doing.
How are you not stressed about it if you have a player like this that is carrying you this season to a league title, and he's going to be your highest paid player, and it doesn't look like the team is going to do a complete overhaul? And if you give him the keys to Liverpool again next season, and if he doesn't produce the same as this season, you might not retain the title again.
I mean, when you say the team's not going to do an overhaul, I do think we're going to get like 4 or 5 signs, which is...
So you're going to get a new striker and a left winger.
I think the club will end up getting a new striker, a new left winger, a new left back, a new centre back, a new right back.
I was speaking to Hussam about this yesterday. Depending, and Staffy as well, depending on who the striker... What if Liverpool go and get a project striker and not an established striker, for example? That means the pressure is going to be on Salah again to carry the team next season.
The pressure is always going to be on
Salah.
Same
thing again. Arsenal made this mistake by assuming that Odegaard and Saka will carry the team again.
The pressure is always going to be on Salah, regardless.
Not if you get an Isak or a Gyökeres.
It is always going to be on Salah because
I disagree with you.
He's
They're gonna get Ekitike or whatever his name is, right? Mohamed Salah
pressure
is
will-
always
the-
going to have the pressure.
The pressure will always be on Mohamed Salah, regardless of who you bring in, because he's Mohamed Salah and he's the highest paid player at the football club. The pressure will always be on him to create. The pressure will always be on him to be the talisman whilst he is here because of history and because of where he is.
But Haaland last season, the pressure was not on him because Foden and Kevin De Bruyne
The pressure was on Haaland. That's why Foden succeeded.
not
And then
as
when the
much
pressure-
as Salah.
when the
I don't think
pressure
you're
came-
missing. I don't think you're
when the
seeing
pressure
how
went on to
Mohamed
Foden
Salah
this
is
year, he
literally
couldn't
Mr.
handle it.
Liverpool this season.
I know he is. I know he is. And I also know that he's not going to put up the same level of numbers as he did this season, next season.
Okay, we know that. We know that.
But I also know that any striker I buy, even if they are a project, cannot be worse than what I've got at the minute. Darwin Nunez
This
has
is
one
an old
goal in
screener, I'll tell you
17.
that.
1 goal in 17.
You
Diogo
never
Jota,
know.
1 goal in 20.
You never know. You never know.
I
Darwin
am
Nunez was
fine.
coming from a 30-goal season at Benfica, to be honest. with you.
Darwin Nunez was bought off the back of a game where he scored 3 offside goals against us.
No, he was no. So this is the false narrative that Liverpool fans want to tell us. Tom, he has had a 30-goal season. That by itself is something. He's basically
was-
having a Eucharist
no.
season.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
No,
Tom.
because Gyökeres has carried it over multiple. Darwin Nunez was getting 10, 11, 34, 10. All of them underperform next G, underperform next G, underperform next G. Massive overperformance. Underperforming. The guy that we should have got in that summer, and we mentioned them earlier, or the guy that I think the smart people wanted before we played fucking Benfica, was Nkunku. That was probably who they wanted because his numbers in the Bundesliga were more sustainable. We bought Nunez. off the
People
back
were
of a
talking
good
about
game
Darwin
against us
Nunez.
and a massive outlier season.
Okay, great. I remember that summer, it was Haaland and Nunez, and people were talking about, people can correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of the panel can attest to this. People were talking about who's going to be more successful at the Premier League, Darwin Nunez or Erling Haaland. And I remember the pre-season when people said that Haaland is going to be a donkey and Nunez is going to be more successful.
Remember after the Community Shield game?
Yes, exactly.
When they both played,
Darwin
people
Nunez is going to
were saying-
bang and Erling Haaland is going to flop.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, we were talking about it. It wasn't just one game. It was Darwin Nunez. Was like, by the way, that's why I never criticized Liverpool for that signing. That signing on paper was the right signing. It's exactly as if Arsenal go tomorrow and sign Eucharist and it doesn't work. You can't blame them for going and signing a striker that is banging goal now. They're doing the job that you are.
I can do because it didn't fucking work, and it was obvious
But
that
you
it
have to-
wasn't going to work.
This is where me and you disagree. It wasn't as obvious as you make it be.
It was because we had to change how we play. We had a style of play that worked. We'd won a Premier League and a Champions League. We were just coming off a season where we were 2 games away from doing a quadruple, playing with a certain type of striker, and we completely threw that out the window for the pretty much complete opposite type of striker. And we had to change so many different roles and play the team in so many different ways to try and accommodate this guy. And it didn't work. And now, if you go look at how we're playing this season, we have reverted back to the type of striker that the manager wants to use, which is the opposite of what Nunez is.
But I don't think the fact that you needed to change to suit him in and of itself was proof that it wasn't going to work, because Man City did exactly the same with Erling Haaland. They went from virtually not having a striker to go into Erling Haaland.
Mhm.
So
Rory,
that in itself isn't proof that it's not going to work.
Erling Haaland is a fucking metric breaker. The man is the greatest young goal scorer in Champions League history.
But there were a lot of people that thought Darwin Nunez could be the same.
No, anyone with a brain wasn't thinking that though, because Erling Haaland had done it over 5 years. Nunez had 1 year of it.
No, I know. I'm not disagreeing with you, but
we're all smart on this panel. I'm not including the thoughts of Saucy Salah 11 on Twitter.
I thought he was going to say I'm not including Mo on this. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm not including the thoughts of fucking football Twitter who just go, oh my god, he's in direct Fernando Torres because he's got long hair. Anyone with a brain, when that signing was made, looked at it and went, Liverpool have to change an awful lot to fit him in. Is he good enough for that? And the answer is no. For the last 2 years of Jurgen Klopp's reign, we turned our greatest ever Premier League goal scorer in Mohamed Salah into Mark Albrighton. So Darwin Nunez could have all the space in the world that he wanted to run in behind. And do you know what it got me? 11 league goals. 11.
That's all his career. Or that
No,
that
in
season.
his best season. In his best season. Do you want to know how many Premier League goals he's got? He has 25.
That's a very good return for that 15, 16 million you spent. It's a very good return.
Are we being rational here, Mo, or are you just trying to stay?
No, it's just a sarcastic comment.
Because I was going to do the math here and calculate that the man has played 90 appearances.
Because Arsenal might get at the
25 goals.
end less than that for a 65 million spent on Cahavertz. It's based on that standards. It might be okay.
I'm pretty sure that Kai
Cahavertz already has more.
Yes,
Cahavertz already has more.
I'm pretty sure
Not
he
in the
already
league, I don't think.
13 and 9.
Didn't he have 14 last season and
he
already
has-
had 10 this season?
He has
In the league, I think he's
22.
got 20. Yeah, 22.
Yeah, he has 22 in 58 games. Darwin Nunez has 25 in 90.
Yeah,
That's fucking
when you
shit.
put it like that.
That's absolutely shit.
Yeah.
That is just a bad return.
But
That's a bad return.
I'll point out Nunez because he's the most
Rasmus
expensive.
Højlund has 5 though. That's just
Yeah,
look
but
at the bright side
he's-
though.
he's-
You
he's
know,
still-
you
don't say
can
that,
look at the
Linus.
bright side though. You can look at
Nunez.
the bright side. You
Don't
can
say
always
that,
look at the
Linus.
bright side. You know
Could
what?
always be
Positive
worse.
fans
There's
will
no
turn it.
sentence that
Yeah.
has bright side and Højlund in it. It doesn't work. Those two
It
don't
does
go
with a
There,
transfer
there,
link.
there
away,
is for
doesn't it?
anyone that's not a United fan.
I mean, we
Well,
take the piss
yeah,
out
I
of
guess.
Højlund. We grill the fuck out of Højlund. Do you know Højlund only had one less Premier League goal than Nunez last season?
Yeah, he didn't actually have a bad of a season last season. It's this season he's around.
I'm pretty
You
sure
were
he.
coaching him yesterday.
Let me just check something real quick. He only has 2 less goals this season.
Then Rasmus Højlund.
Rasmus Højlund has 2 less goals than Nunez this season in the Premier
Wait,
League.
doesn't Rasmus have like 4 goals for us in the league?
He
Something.
has 3. Højlund
He's
has
got
3
3.
goals.
Nunez
Nunez
got
has 5.
Mikel Marino's got 6.
Oh my
Mikel Marino's
god!
got 6. He's only been playing up front since January.
Like,
That's the level.
I can go through this top scorer list and we can laugh at some of the names that are above my
In fairness,
big
though,
name striker.
aren't
Raul
Jota and Gakpo
Jimenez
on
has
the
half
same?
his skull. Raul Jimenez has half his skull, and he's got double the goals that Nunez does.
By the way, aren't
Danny
Gakpo and
Welbeck
Jota both on the same?
has 8. No, Gakpo's on 8 in the Premier League, and Jota
He's
is
going through the pain, guys. Let him just. He's going through the pain of like
Jota's on
strikers that are
6.
better than him.
Jota's on 6, but he's played under 1,000 minutes. Jota. But let's just go. Let me just find it again. Let's
He's
find the top
he's
scorers
going
list.
through it. He's going through it.
Alex Iwobi, Danny Welbeck, Dango Ouattara, Ismail Assar. John Duran left the league in fucking January and he's got more goals than Nunez.
And he only ever really came off the bench.
Yeah.
Mitoma, Kevin Shade, Madueke, Soucek, Son, Vardy, Diallo, Alanga, Beto, Martinelli, Gordon.
Beto,
So-
hold on. Can we go back? Hold on.
Beto
That's
has more
Beto-
goals than Nunez.
Beto is one of the worst strikers I've seen in the Premier League, to be honest.
Beto has
Wait, how
more.
many does
Van Dijk.
Beto have?
Beto has 6. Nunez has
Beto
5.
has double Højlund. Oh my god!
Bukayo Saka has been injured since December. He has more goals than Darwin Nunez. Do you know who has the same amount of goals as Darwin Nunez? Jacob Murphy, Marcus Rashford, who didn't play for 2 months, Jorginho Ruta, Enzo Fernandez, Emil Smith-Rowe, Yankuba Minte, Omar Marmoush, who arrived in fucking January. He's on the same amount as Nunez.
You made your point. You made your point, to be honest. Okay, we're sympathizing with you.
You know what's sad? Only one United player he mentioned had more goals than him. That's the sad.
If you want to keep going, I can get to Højlund because Højlund's even worse. Christian Norgard, Crystal Palace right back Daniel Munoz, Facundo Buonanotte, Mark Cucurella, all on a one shoot. Nicola
Cucurella has
Milenkovic,
more goals than Højlund.
Korea has more goals.
Jordan Ayew, Sammy Schmodic.
Okay.
On the same amount of
Move on.
goals. On the same amount of goals, Calvert Lewin, Dwight McNeil, Joao Gomez, Joe Aribo, Jota Silva, Marco Asensio, who only turned up in January, Marcus Tavernier, Nicholas Fulkrug, Pap Shah, Pedro Neto, Ryan Aitnori, Ross Barkley, Ryan Sessegnon, Thomas Partey, and Trevor Chalobah.
This is the worst list I've ever heard in my life. This is horrible.
He basically named all the league players.
Bro said Joe Haribo.
It's like gummy bears, bro. This is like.
I literally watched Joe Aribo play at Staines Town. I'm not even lying. Like, that's so long ago. That's the level of player we're talking about here.
Justin Kluivert has 4 times the amount of goals that Højlund does this season. Liam Delap has 4 times the amount of goals that Højlund does this season.
And you actually, now that you mentioned,
you know what the problem is?
You know our fan base is looking at him as the next Højlund, and that's why they don't want.
You know the problem is all of this, and Liverpool fans say that we want 50 million for Darwin Nunez.
The Saudi bastards want to pay it. I'm not going to complain.
They won't pay. They won't pay.
I think people mistake Saudi people for idiots. They're rich.
For idiots, bro. They think they're stupid, bro. Not everybody.
No. I don't think that. I think getting Darwin Nunez for £70 million is a fantastic.
He has no market.
It shows that
nobody's buying Darwin Nunez shirt, Tom. With all due respect,
Mo, let me sell Darwin Nunez to the Saudis. It's an incredible deal. You're very smart for wanting to do that. You know, you get one of the most high prospect.
Bro, you do know he's a meme in the Middle East. This is like Mo probably would know that. Mo,
Darwin,
you know
mayonnaise.
Bro, I was about to say Darwin mayonnaise. You know that
It's
video?
actually a meme in the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia, it was trending at some point. Darwin mayonnaise. It's a meme. I'm being
It's like
serious.
an Arab guy made like a video, and he's like Darwin mayonnaise, and it's just like it puts a failed comp
of Darwin Nunez missing chances. You're not getting 50 million for the guy.
the 70 mil.
I got offered 70 fucking million for this useless sack of shit in January, and I turned it down. I nearly made my money back on him. I nearly made my money back on that useless donkey, and we turned it down.
Let's go back to the rational talk about. Finally, we could talk about something else.
I found the Van Dijk fail come, by the way. If we want.
So Tom, if you
we're not going to talk about that. We need to speak about it.
If you go on YouTube and you type in Darwin mayonnaise, you'll find it.
We need to speak about the Champions League game tomorrow rationally, as Arsenal don't have a 0% chance. Which is finally we have a panel that can speak about it rationally. To be honest.
Yep.
Right. Like. Madrid have a lot of injuries and a lot of absentees, and everyone is saying that. Yeah, they do. You know, Chouameni is suspended.
Is he suspended? Is he?
Chouameni suspended.
Check the group chat.
Mendy's
injured. Ceballos is injured. Obviously, Carvajal's injured. Militao's injured.
Alaba has not been the same.
Courtois is back.
I mean, yeah, but I'm still looking at the team they're going to put out. Courtois, Valverde, Asensio, Rudiger, Fran Garcia, Modric, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius, and Mbappe. That's still.
So I like Saka up against Fran Garcia in that.
But it's not fully fit Saka, is it?
Doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Point.
Fran Garcia and Camavinga doubling up on Saka, I think they'll manage just fine.
We'll see. If Camavinga's on the left side of that central midfield, it also leaves Declan Rice as our left 8 up against Modric, which I quite like as well.
I mean, to be fair, if we're looking at matchups, I think you just need to look at Jakub Kiwior on Mbappe.
Yep.
That one's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, but it's not going to look like this.
I think
it's not going to look like this.
Martinelli versus Valverde will be an interesting one as well.
Yeah. They also might not go. They might go Camavinga left back, Valverde midfield, Vasquez at right back. It basically depends which fullback effectively they want to go weak on. They either go weak with Fran Garcia or they go weak with Vasquez. If it was me, I'd probably go weak with Vasquez because Martinelli's less of a threat than Saka, but we'll see.
I still think that Arsenal can win this game. There is a possibility that there's a world that I see Arsenal winning a 1-0 or 2-1 in this game. People talk about Real Madrid as they're invincible, but Arsenal also are an invincible team in terms of when it comes to defense. That is their strongest point. I know there is no Gabriel, but if Ben White plays and Timber plays next to Saliba and Lewis Skelly, basically that back line, along with Partey and Declan Rice ahead of him, Saka going backwards, Martinelli, I think they can fend off for themselves against Real Madrid, especially at the Emirates. But no one talking about this. No one is talking about Arsenal. The last time Arsenal shipped more than 2 goals at the Emirates was against Man City 2 years ago. And the only game that they shipped 2 goals and they lost by 2 goals was against Newcastle, where Arsenal had 75% ball position, which is not going to happen against Real Madrid. Arsenal are not going to open up against Real Madrid, like what people think. But they were beaten by Newcastle 2-0. Yeah, they attacked the whole game. Do you think that Real Madrid will allow Arsenal to camp in their 18 like Arsenal were doing against Newcastle and leave Isak isolated to one of the defenders? That's not going to happen. You're not going to see Arsenal going 1-on-1 against Mbappe and Vini for 90 minutes like they did against Newcastle with Gordon and Isak. That is not going to happen.
I agree you're not going to see them go 1-on-1, but we also do understand that Arsenal needs to go more attacking in this game because it's the home leg. So they are going to leave gaps. They're not winning away at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, but they can wait. Okay, as long as the game is 0-0, Arsenal can snatch a 1-0 win and go and defend it at the Bernabeu.
But Arsenal can't rely on snatching a 1-0 win. They need to go and try and get 1-2.
Why not? Why not? Or even a counter attack.
Your corner set's gone. Jakob Kiwior's not Gabriel off corners.
Yeah, but it's not just Gabriel that scores headers, and we've got Saka back to take those corners now, which is useful. I saw even at the weekend, Real Madrid conceded from a corner really very easily, shocking defensively.
I just think.
I don't understand why. Go ahead, Tom. Okay, if you're an Arsenal coach, Tom, how would you approach the game? Come back to the camera and let us know.
I don't disagree with the approach, but I think the way you're saying that, they just need to sit back and hope for a 1-0 win. No, I think Arsenal need to try and at least impose themselves a bit on Real Madrid. If they're going to play Valverde at right back, then that means that Modric is going to play in the midfield. Modric is very good, but the one thing you can do is you can, bully him a little bit.
Ceballos is at midfield.
Ceballos is not that good.
Where are you getting that information from?
Yeah, I saw Will. Will Football Carnage. He goes on the terrace. He was talking about that yesterday.
Well, Madrid put out their squad list yesterday, and he wasn't on it.
Oh, he's not. All right,
maybe he didn't. So that means he didn't travel. But he didn't travel. He traveled today.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't rush him. He's probably just back in training then.
Yeah, I think so.
Squad list?
Also, half of their squad are on 1 yellow card away from a suspension as well. Rudiger, Camavinga, Modric, Vinny Jr., Vasquez, and Endrick are all.
So easy for Vinny to get one.
Vinny. Also, the referee tomorrow, apparently this is the biggest game he's ever done. He's from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Biggest game he's ever done. So we just need to get on his back, wind up Vinny, get him suspended, wind up Rudiger, get him suspended. Admittedly, we do have Rice, Timber, and Martinelli that are all 1 booking away.
As much as people would laugh at you for saying that, that is actually a correct way to approach it.
Yeah,
that's 100% a correct way to approach
it. If you can get some of their attackers suspended, you're doing well.
Yeah, but no, look, it's not going to be easy by any stretch. But I think since they lost Mendy, they've conceded 10 goals in 4 games, which is 2.5 goals a game on average. Valencia obviously beat them at the weekend, so they're not at. I think it was at the Bernabeu. Was it at the Bernabeu? I think it was at the Bernabeu. So they're not.
They lost away or at home?
They lost at home to Valencia 2-1.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So they're not. They're not completely.
Mama, that's Philly man of the match. My goalie.
Yeah, they're not infallible.
Tom, you gotta give it up with your stocks, please.
So yeah, it's
Tom stocks gotta die, man.
My main thing is Arsenal are not going to get battered. We might not win, but the amount of people I see it everywhere that Arsenal are just going to get completely smashed. I don't
think you'll get smashed. I think you took a huge hit with Gabriel, and that's more respect for Gabriel than anything. Because when I said that, a lot of Arsenal fans got offended when I said that. I'm like, don't you understand the respect that I give Gabriel for me to say that?
That's always that weird thing. Like Arsenal fans, and it's not all Arsenal fans by any stretch, but it's like you can't on one hand have been touting Gabriel as being like arguably the best centre-back in the Premier League this season.
And then when you miss him, you pretend
it's
nothing
not
happened.
going to be a loss when you miss him. And not only just missing him, going from him down to Kiwior, who would arguably.
But you're not gonna. Why do you insist on having the Kiwior conversation when it's gonna be Timber and Ben White?
Because I don't think it's going to be Timber and Ben White. I think it's.
Why do you think he's going to play Kiwior? Why?
He played Kiwior at the weekend.
Because he played Kiwior at the weekend with Saliba. Ben White is not 100% fit. Ben White's also played just over like 100 minutes since November. Hasn't played at left centre back really ever for us, I don't think. Arteta has a fetish effectively for having a left-footed left centre back and a right-footed right centre back. That's something that he's relied, almost cost us with at times previously because of his insistence. But that's something we do, like when he played Rob Holding instead of Kiwior at right centre back in 22-23. So yeah, I think it's going to be Kiwior. And also, listen, those balls over the top. I don't know if you watched the Arsenal Everton game. Kiwior played 3 or 4 unbelievable balls over the top in behind the Everton defence into annoyingly Trossard. But yeah, that's probably the one aspect of Kiwior's game that's considerably better than Gabriel's. Is his ability, like his long passing range. So that's potentially a weapon for us. And obviously, we've just got to hope. He's not a bad defender. He just loses his head too many times.
Do you know the problem with Kiwior is you're asking him to defend like Gabriel in spaces. If he's not being asked to defend in spaces and run with Mbappe's or run with the forwards, he's just going to be another body there that suits the system. And that's it, because he's physical, he's strong. Sometimes he gets bullied, but because he gets isolated with some people. I don't think Arsenal are going to isolate anyone. Bro, if Arteta approaches this game as he approaches any other game, he's just an idiot. He's just an idiot, to be honest. He should approach this game completely different as he's approaching a Man City game.
Yeah, he will.
How do you think he's going to approach him?
We'll approach it the way we approach all of the big games, home or away.
The big games, not the other games, Staffy. Like, he shouldn't approach this game as he's approaching another team where he pushes 2 fullbacks forward.
Pragmatic way is what you're trying to say.
But the problem is people mistaking the word pragmatic with parking the bus. People think that I'm asking Arsenal to defend. No, but the problem is people in the chat are saying that, Mo, you're asking them to park the bus at their 18. No, I'm not. This is not Man City against Arsenal, with Arsenal leading the game already at 2-1 and having a man down. No, but I've seen Arsenal, for example, when they concede position, defend with 10 men outside the box. That is the best approach. Just do that, and you should be okay. There's no spaces for Mbappe to run behind. Vinny Jr. has to dribble 2 people before he gets to the byline. Rodrigo's not going to dribble 2 people. You have to cut back. And basically, they have nobody to cross because Lucas Vazquez is not the greatest crosser in the world, and Ferran Garcia is not the greatest crosser in the world. And Jude Bellingham is Jude Bellingham. He's just going to run around in the 18, waiting for a moment. And I think that midfield battle for Arsenal, they can just win it. You are telling me that Bellingham, Modric at the age of 38 or 39, and who else is going to play there?
It'll either be Camavinga or Valverde.
That can win the midfield battle versus Rice, Thomas Partey, and Odegaard at the Emirates. Why? Like, based on what? Have you watched Luka Modric lately? Yes, his passing is still there, but he's weaker, he's older.
He has to play a full 90.
Yeah, as well. Bellingham is not an elite dribbler, is not an elite ball carrier, is not an elite passer. He's just a clutch player that waits for a moment. While Arsenal have 3 players that can pass the ball around them.
Ball carrier?
No, not really.
I don't know if
I think he is when he's got space. He's not intricate.
Not tight spaces. But that's what I think of when I think of ball carrying anyways. Just you running into space.
Ball carrier for me is someone who has a good... ball carrier for me is someone who, when you give him the ball under a little bit of pressure, can at least turn a defender and just move into the space. Bellingham is not that guy. Like, he's not.
I think that's more on the dribbling side than the
generally
ball
speaking,
carrying side.
The only times you normally get that space against Arsenal is if Thomas Partey overcommits offensively and leaves the gap behind him. I don't think he will do that unless he loses his head. I think his instruction will be to sit deeper than a normal game and not leave that space. And so generally, we don't offer that sort of space. And the big thing for me, I think, is that Vinny, particularly Vinny, but Vinny and Rodrigo, they don't really do much defensive work. Like, we're used to having Saka doubled up on by a winger, really tripled up on by a left central midfielder and a winger. Like, that's not going to happen anywhere near as much against Madrid. So, yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen at all. With Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vinny there, I don't think it's going to happen at all. No. So Saka has the chance to show the world that he can do it.
Yeah.
Odegaard as well. I'm looking at Odegaard, and I think he's a key player in this Arsenal team. On transition, if Odegaard gets that right pass to Saka, Martinelli, or whoever is going to play up front, or Trossard, or whatever. I think that is the key for Arsenal to try to get something out of this game. And I think also that will force Real Madrid to a little bit respect Arsenal more, especially in the first 5-10 minutes. If Arsenal hit Real Madrid a couple of times, Real Madrid will be scared a little bit. They're going to be a little bit cautious of pushing players forward. And that is what Arsenal should do. I'm not surrendering to the fact that, or the people that say that Arsenal will get smashed in both legs. It's just, I see no evidence. What do you think, Dan?
I think Arsenal have to surprise Madrid. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think they need to do something that shocks them and sort of throws them off guard or catches them off guard. Other than that, I feel like it's going to just go Madrid's way fairly comfortably. I don't think they'll get thrashed at any point, Arsenal, but I just think there's a huge difference in quality, and I think the injuries have been massive for Arsenal, to be honest. I think if they could have had a couple of players fit, Havertz in the Champions League turns up. I've seen it. Gabriel was obviously a huge loss as well. And just these players like Saka isn't at full throttle yet, really coming back from that injury. I mean, he's good to go, but he's, if he'd been going into this, he's off the back of scoring a lot of goals. Odegaard had a better season. Maybe you sort of back him a little bit more. I got a funny feeling in Nwaneri. I think he just shines. I've got a feeling about it. I've had it the whole time that I think there's a moment for him in there somewhere, because I think this kid's exceptional. I think there's magic in his boots, and I've just got a feeling. Look, I don't know if it happens. It's optimistic for him, but I've just got a feeling he's the type of player that catches someone off guard because they don't know what he's capable of yet.
Yeah, people don't know him like the Premier League.
Exactly, right. And I've seen players like that step up in these moments. I'm not blazing Arsenal, by the way, people in the comments. I've literally just said they're probably going to lose. But
no, you're
maybe
not.
If they do something different.
Yes, Dan, you made the mistake of doing anything other than completely ripping Arsenal to shreds, which is not allowed.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. I'm actually really excited for it. I feel like we've been building up to this game for weeks. I actually just can't wait for it to happen and just see what happens, because it's about time English sides really started taking the game to Real Madrid rather than just sort of paying them too much respect, I think.
Like me and Staffy had this conversation off camera. We were talking about the Arsenal chances versus Real Madrid. About, is it like you can't get any point across unless you say that Arsenal will lose both games and they have no chance of winning the game, or even winning one of the games? You're illogical. Otherwise, you're illogical. You have to say that Arsenal gets smashed. You have to say that Arsenal have zero chance. Otherwise, you just don't know football.
I think Arsenal need to go and really wind up Real Madrid in order to have a chance. I think they need to get under their skin. I think they need to make it a horrible game to play in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How is this glazing when none of us gave them more than 20% chance of going through?
It's literally
annoying.
Like
I'm getting annoyed now by this, bro. Like, we're trying to be rational about the talk, about how Tom, who thinks Real Madrid will go through, even gave the best scenario, how to Arsenal approach the game, how they should do this and do that. He still thinks, bro, this is just rational talk. We can sit here and say that Arsenal are shit.
Real Madrid
I think the same as well. I think, Rory, do you think Arsenal go through Real Madrid?
I think Arsenal do. I've got a feeling.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm an Arsenal fan, so obviously
Arsenal fans allowed to be optimistic.
No, but forget the hope.
No, apparently I'm not actually. Someone in the chat said, basically called me out for being more optimistic when it comes to Arsenal than other teams. But that's not allowed. You're not allowed to have optimism for your own team. So.
But that's your hope, though. Talking if you're advising your, I don't know if you bet or not. If you're advising your cousin to bet on the game, which team you think will go through? Like, logically speaking, you have a feeling. It's Arsenal.
Are you underdog?
Well, I actually don't.
I think he believes that Arsenal.
He doesn't think Arsenal are underdogs. Now we're going into different.
No. I'm saying in the betting, because at one point we were like favourites to win the whole thing.
You're favourites to win the home side, but you're not favourites.
Are you?
Yeah, the favourites to win the home game, but they're not.
I mean, a good win for you would be unbelievable at home. It could like spin the tide potentially.
I just think.
Why? Can you explain to us why? How did you come to this conclusion?
Because
don't tell us your feelings.
Because I think we're a better.
Who said, "Don't tell us your feelings"?
like because that some people just come in and say, "I have a feeling that."
Yeah. No, but I think we're a better organized team. I think the organization that we have is ultimately, you've seen it with Madrid. Like, they do struggle against teams that are really well drilled, really well organised. I think Sander Berger said it the other day. So playing against Arsenal, it's like someone's controlling all of their players from the stands with a remote control. Like, off the ball, you just, everyone's where they're meant to be all the time. You get, and so I feel like that kind of, if we can stifle that front three, like outside of that, the front four, I just think Real Madrid are a bit average. Like, I don't. You look at the goals that they concede. I do. I think we can get ahead in the tie in the home leg, and I think we can go away, shut up shop, and get a draw. So,
I think Courtois coming back for them, by the way, is massive. I think for Arsenal's set piece hope, I feel like Courtois, of course, he's fit. Like, of course, obviously that happened, but I feel like he's going to be key for like the battle on set pieces for Arsenal, which I thought with him potentially missing, I felt like it swung it in Arsenal's favour in terms of being able to.
Well, yeah, because they're missing Lunin as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I just feel like Courtois will be able to come out and claim a majority of those crosses.
But he's not played in a few weeks, so he could be a bit rusty.
Yeah, he could be rusty, right? And Courtois, I mean, if there's one way you get a Courtois, it's by putting the ball through his legs. I've always seen that as an option, to be honest with you. He just, for some reason, has that as a massive weakness. But look, I think Arsenal have a chance. I don't think it's written off just yet, but I do think, for me, Madrid are favourites. But that's just because of their name and who they are. But I was looking through their records in La Liga this season and the Champions League. They've conceded goals in games where you'd think that they wouldn't do. And I think Arsenal just have to try and hope that one of the ties goes in that favour. And Arsenal just have to be brave, fearless, and irritating to play against, I think, to swing the tie.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, if you are to go through against Real Madrid, anything can happen, because that can give your team confidence that can win you the competition as a whole.
The thing I'd be very interested to see Arsenal against this version of PSG, because I know that you played them earlier on in the group stage, but I don't think that was a PSG team
I think
fully settled in the way it is now.
Yeah, I think PSG are possibly. Well, I don't know what the odds are of them winning the whole thing, but I think at this point they are like dark horses. But maybe not dark horses because they're a very good team. But like
for me, if Real Madrid aren't winning it, I've got PSG ahead of Barca.
See, I have Barca top and then PSG because I don't think Madrid get past Arsenal and PSG and then win the final.
By the way, if Hansi Flick gets to the final, I don't think he loses. He's never lost one.
Hansi Flick is not getting to the final.
But the advantage
get knocked out in the semi-final by Inter.
Here we go.
The advantage that PSG
you couldn't even beat Parmesan cheese, and you're trying to talk about beating Barcelona in the Champions League. Come on.
The advantage PSG have is that they've already won the league. Literally, all they have to focus on now is the champion. And I know in the past people say that that's like almost a negative thing because when you only have the odd game that is actually competitive for you, like
I think because they've got something to play for because they're still unbeaten, so they're on for an invincible season, so they've still got that to play for.
Yeah, but also the way their season's gone this season, where they did start slowly, they were struggling. It's like they've hit top gear, they've hit form
at the right time of the season.
Yeah, but then equally, so have Villa. So I think PSG Villa is going to be a really
Villa have got more. I guess they will put all their eggs into one basket in the Champions League, but they got more fronts to fight on. They've got FA Cup, they've got Premier League, Champions League, obviously race. But PSG, I saw a stat that Marquinhos has won 10 league titles with them. It's just every year, isn't it? It's just guaranteed in that league. That's been their biggest letdown as to why they probably haven't won the Champions League, is because of their competition that they're playing in every week.
Ironically, the second best year in the Champions League, the 2021 season, was the year Lille won it. So
oh really? Fair.
Yeah.
Isn't it 1920 when Bayern beat them in the final?
That was when they got to the final, but the league was stopped then, I think. So that I don't really count that one. I'm on about when they played the full season. Their best year where they got to the semi-finals and got knocked out by Man City. That was when Lille won the league.
Maybe they shouldn't win the league then. Luke is saying, hit that like button, people. Come on, guys. Over 450 people in the house. Let's get the likes up. We've got more votes for Van Dijk than actually likes. It's actually closer than what I thought, actually, in the poll. Arsenal will shock the world over 2 legs. Who's the best defender in the Prem? Van Dijk, Terry, Ferdinand, or Campbell?
I'm glad that the people who watch this show are rational as well.
The same Van Dijk over Terry, but it's 40% versus 28.
I mean, do I need to pull the fail comp back up?
Yeah,
Did
but
you see that guy
no,
that,
we're not.
that said
We're
Diaz
not.
is better than Rio? Did you
yeah,
see
but
that one today?
Salah and Van Dijk are in the title, so there's a Liverpool fans are overpopulating the stream, swaying it away from Terry, who's the rightful winner.
Hey, Palmer's
Let's
in the
give
title. Hold on, Palmer's in the title as well. So there should be Chelsea fans coming.
There's no Chelsea fans in here, mate. They've gone. They've disappeared. They don't want to show their faces. It's got that bad.
Guys, type 1 in the chat if you're a Chelsea fan. Just 1 in the chat.
Do you know what? When we were potentially going top of the league, I'd never seen as many Chelsea fans in streams. And
Oh my god! I didn't know there was this many Chelsea fans in the space.
You remember
when
the
you, like,
National League? We had
live,
1,800.
oh.
We had 1,800 people live when Neto signed for Chelsea on this show. All of them Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "We're gonna challenge," blah blah blah. And then when they were second, we were having bare Chelsea fans.
No, you know when Neto signed for Chelsea, Maguire had more GNA in the league than him.
Okay.
Probably still does.
Probably, yeah. He's only got 3 goals. I think, in
You
the
know
league.
that Neto hasn't scored or assisted a lot this season.
That
as
was
well.
just, Maguire hasn't either. But at that time, Maguire had more
Better-
GNA in the Premier
yeah.
League than him.
Better than Saka, though, apparently.
Nah,
Well,
he's not better than
I
Saka,
mean-
but he come on yesterday and
Who's
and
better
he-
than Saka? Oh, it's sarcastic.
No, he
Oh,
like
fair enough.
lit a spark yesterday. Like
Why?
Neto isn't as bad as what people make. Neto's never been about GA. He's not that type of player, I don't think. But he makes
He
an
lit,
impact
he
to
lit
the
a
game.
spark in a 0-0 draw.
He did, Rory. To be fair, he had a couple of opportunities. He tried to make something happen, but it was just too little, too late. I
Fucking
think
hell,
by starting,
how low is the bar now after December when it was
Six-
title
six-
tour?
60 million.
You know, sometimes like
tried.
yeah, but at least he did. Sometimes we bring on players and like they do nothing. Like so we bought on Nkunku in games and he does absolutely nothing. So at least Neto comes on. Neto,
I mean, yeah, if you
revolts-
compare him to Nkunku, he's quite good.
no, well, they got the same amount of goals in the Prem, but he literally like tries to go against the grain of this systematic approach that he's asked to do. So he goes, no, I'm going to try and make something happen instead. He'll go and pick up the ball. He'll get on it. He'll run at players. There's an issue there with his output, but ultimately he does try to make something happen. I wouldn't put all my sort of negativity towards him and Chelsea's issues right now. I think there's players that aren't performing that are expected to do more.
Guys, listen to Luke and let's get the likes up, guys. Thank you, Luke, for supporting the channel. Reminder, at least 200 likes, guys. 50 likes. Away. The last part of the show, since this
We're
is the
gonna talk
National
about-
League and it's
We're going
not
to talk about
banter,
how we're going to win the Europa League.
Leny Yoro.
Ah.
Oh,
Can we
it's
talk
the
about that
base again.
performance from yesterday?
I want Rory to listen to what Staffy said to us about Leny Yoro versus Maslow Skelly.
Wait, but can we talk about how great he was yesterday?
But that's the whole point.
That's what we're
Okay,
gonna
because
do.
we had a conversation 2 days ago. I thought you wanted to kind of repeat that, but
Yeah,
I mean-
Not
thought you
repeat
were
it. Not repeat.
he was
Fuck
amazing
you.
yesterday.
Are
Wasn't he?
you, Tom have a failed compilation for every player in the Premier League, bar Liverpool players. And Nunez.
No.
Yes,
I
we do.
thought you. I
I
thought
know
you.
that.
were
That's
about to do one
everyone.
from that stream. No, Nunez ones are very easy to find. Don't worry. But I thought you. I thought this whole section was going to be you pulling up a clip from the stream on Sasti about Staffy with Lewis, Skelly, and Yoro. I thought that was what you were doing.
When's the Rory clip coming up, by the way? Have I missed it?
Oh, yeah. This is the thing, guys. I need
What?
Rory to explain himself.
Day 101 of the final trophies challenge. Oh, what? I am in the bathtub. I don't even know how that looks. I don't want to open my eyes. Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, how could I forget? Sorry. This was a 2-part bloody challenge. 4th bit. Here's a mystery shirt. I get mine from Mystery Champions. You can too with the link in my bio. And we're giving one away to you guys.
Okay, so I open
Wait, what was
Instagram
the
and I see
shirt,
this.
Rory?
What was
Can
this about? A great
LA
shirt.
Galaxy. It's a nice shirt.
Can I
solid.
have the
Why is
shirt?
why is the context for this? By the way, this has been seen for over 100,000 people have watched this actually on Instagram only.
I
Why
think
the-
there was a striking resemblance.
Bro was
to
making
April,
pancakes,
actually.
bro. He put
Why is the context for this?
flour, milk.
So I do that was day 101 of this challenge that I do. And within the challenge, I can pick up forfeits along the way basically for underperforming, and
okay.
that was one of the forfeits, unfortunately.
So the people choose this, not you.
Yeah. Well, they suggest
Okay.
all of the forfeits that go on the wheel, and then we span the wheel, and
I think it's funny, to be honest. I watched it. It's funny. Puts a laugh in people's faces.
I've had work. Carolina Reaper was the worst forfeit that we've done. That was.
Did you eat one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did the challenge, tears streaming down my face.
yeah.
That was.
Wait, have you got a video of that?
I
think
can look it up. I can look it up.
That was like a year ago, but
Right.
I think TikTok took it down for like dangerous behavior, which was ridiculous. But no, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's what my life has become. So.
It's all right. I think it's okay.
It'll be fun.
It's not that bad.
It is fun. It is fun. And yes, I'm pushing 40, but no, I'm not really.
You're not pushing 40. You're not even 30.
No, that was all of the comments were like pushing 40, by the way, pushing 50, by the way, wife and two kids, by the way.
If I could guess, I think Rory's like 26.
Surprisingly close, yeah.
Tom is like 22, 23.
Mm-hmm. In my head, Tom is still 18. When he says in the chat that like he'll be drinking, so he doesn't know if he'll be.
He can drink now. He can drink.
Oh
like,
my god!
How can he drink? What's the drinking age in England? Doesn't he have to be 21?
16 apparently.
18.
It's not like America.
The drinking age in
16 with a
England
meal,
is
isn't
as
it?
old as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Wait, is it really 18 in England?
It's 16
It's
with a meal.
16 in England, 18 in America.
16 with a meal, 18 with an adult present, 18 otherwise. But really, if you're friendly with the landlord of the pub, then
Well, that's
12.
well, yeah, basically.
You'd lose your job here if you served someone under 21.
When you go to jail. If in America,
You'd
if
lose
you
your
serve
job.
alcohol,
I used to work at Fridays, and if you don't ID someone before they go into the bar, you'll lose your job.
Crazy.
It's pretty strict in America about the age.
I was 15 going to the bar getting my own drinks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Here, 15-year-olds drink, but like they'd have to see an adult going into a liquor store and be like, "Hey, please, can you buy me this?" Like that's the only way. But to go to a public place and buy, no. You'd lose your job.
But anyway, listen, I don't think we're gonna have the conversation about Leny Yoro. And
I mean, listen, we don't need to because he was great yesterday.
Staffy, after the Everton game, came on and said that he thinks that Leny Yoro's ceiling is higher than Miles Skelly, and Miles Skelly is just a good player, but he's not like that all. And
did we not have this debate?
And I disagree.
It was
we have it here. We have it here.
We spoke about it. That's how it all started here.
Oh,
no, we didn't talk about it after the Everton game here. This all started when you mentioned Lewis Skelly.
Well, yeah, I thought like it's the first time I hear it. It's too many shows for me. First time I hear it was when you mentioned after the penalty.
Leny Yoro's ceiling is much better than Lewis Skelly. The game
it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. But fine.
It's to me, wallah, it's not even a debate.
Miles Skelly's younger and he's already playing for England. But the point is, the worst time to do it was after
Luke Shaw was injured or Lewis Hall. Yoro's not getting in this French team. He's 18.
But the worst part of doing it after the Everton game was that if you watch that game, Lewis Skelly actually had a good game. The penalty was a joke. And at one point, like he ran from the edge of our box to the edge of their box, took on virtually the whole team, got fouled. His ceiling is unbelievably high.
But I think Lewis Skelly is good. That's not me saying he's not good. Yesterday's game confirmed it even more for me. Because it's like I watch him in a high-intense game like this. I wouldn't say high-intense. It wasn't a high-intense game. But
it was one of the most,
it's a big game for him. It's a Manchester derby. And he's been...
But Maguire,
the game was shit, though. The game was
It was a shit game, don't get me wrong. In terms of chances created, it was. But
Harry Maguire looked great yesterday. Mazraoui looked fantastic yesterday.
No. Come on. You cannot dismiss...
I think I could have looked fairly decent yesterday.
No, you wouldn't. No, you
Staffy,
wouldn't.
can I ask
He
you
played left
regarding
centre back
the ceiling?
yesterday. He's right-footed. His ball progression was great for us. Every time he saw the space, he carried the ball into that space. And every time he got attempted by anyone, his tackling was perfect. For an 18-year-old, that's an amazing game.
That is a really good game, Staffy, right? But there's a number of very, very respected pundits that have said that Miles Lewis Skelly could potentially be England's left back for the next 10 years and reach very, very big heights, right? That's like as good as you can get in your position to represent your country for a decade and potentially end up in the same conversation as someone like Ashley Cole, right? That's where we're talking about Miles Lewis-Skelly going, potentially, if he does that. Because no other left-back's done that since Ashley Cole. So where are we talking about Leny Yoro's ceiling being? If Skelly's is that high, are we talking about Yoro potentially?
Because I don't see his ceiling that high, though.
Yeah, but okay,
I don't
Yoro
see
could
what the
potentially.
pundits
Hang
you
on, let
just
me finish.
said are
If
talking about.
Yoro plays for France for the next 10 years as their centre back, or 12, whatever, 15, he'll match Skelly in the same sense that they'll both represent their country in their position for a very long time. For him to be any better than that and have this higher ceiling, we're talking about having to go and win a Ballon d'Or or something. Like, I don't get how you can have that debate.
So my take is that I don't think Lewis Skelly will be one of the better left backs, but I don't think he's like a top 3 left back in the league when he reaches his ceiling. I think Yoro is one of the best center back when he reaches his ceiling. That is my prediction. Because I look at the skill set that they have, and me and Mo spoke about this a little bit more in depth, and I don't want to like go over it. Actually, Tom was with us as well. I think the fact that at 18, I see the way, as an example, the way Yoro reads the game. I think it's beyond his age. Whereas Lewis Skelly, there's always a mistake in him, and I'm not saying 18-year-old defenders are not meant to make mistakes, but he's just like, he looks like someone who is 18. Sometimes I look at Yoro and I'm like, he plays like he's 23, 24, 25. And that's why I'm like, all right, in a few years, when he actually physically develops, because I think Lewis Skelly's more physically developed than him, I say, okay, when he has actually a body that's much stronger than the frame that he has right now, because he looks like a twig, I'm like, with the attributes that he has, I think he'll be one of the best. I just don't see it with Lewis Skelly. I genuinely don't see it. I don't think he's that talented. He's talented, but he's not that talented where I'm going to put him in conversation in like, oh, he's one of the best in his position. It's just,
but Lewis Skelly's already doing it for the second best team in the league. He's doing it in the Champions League. He's doing it for England. Like, he's already
exactly.
Even when like Calafiori was fit, he began keeping Calafiori out of the team.
You can be better than Calafiori doesn't mean you're amazing. I think he's good. I just don't think he's amazing. Who's he better? Is he better than Kirkus as an example? I don't think he is. Is he better than Anthony Robinson? I don't think he is.
He's better than Anthony Robinson.
Yeah, I think so.
Surely
he's both of them are very different fullbacks anyway. Long term, I still think Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to be a midfielder. And I think we'll see a completely different.
So what's your ceiling for Lewis Skelly? Because as I said, my ceiling is that he's a
on that stream on Saturday, I said I think Miles Lewis-Skelly's ceiling is a better version of James Milner.
That's mental, but I think
incredibly
he'll be
high, by the way, because Milner's played for like some of the best clubs in the country.
Like, I said that. You know, people have been dissing Milner.
It's not disrespectful. It's not disrespectful to say he's going to be a better version of James. Loads of players would wish they could have the career of James Milner. I think he'll be better than James Milner.
Career.
Yeah, no, I get that. I more get like they're very different players. I don't really understand the comparison of the players in terms of like.
I think Miles Lewis-Skelly won't ever. My thing is, Miles Lewis-Skelly is so flexible positionally. He'll end up being like James Milner, where he's deployed in about 4 or 5 different positions.
I kind of get that.
That means he'll never really sort of special. He'll never be the starting left back or the starting DM.
I think
the
FA will play a huge part in Skelly's development. I think Skelly will be formed into a left back because of England. I think that will happen. I think because the opportunity's there and that window is open for him to potentially thrive into that role. And it may be a future where, like you say, Rory, he could play centre mid potentially for Arsenal, could invert, that sort of role. But I think for England, I think that opportunity is open up now. And if he's good enough and consistent for a long period of time and develops in the way that we think he will, I think that's his.
Do you think Lewis Skelly is more talented as a left back than Lewis Hall?
Yes, massively.
Probably is. Lewis Hall's good though. Hang on, we've got to be so careful because people jump
as a left
the gun.
back. I'd say
people
Lewis
jump
Hall.
the gun exactly the same because we said Lewis Skelly is better. Lewis Hall is shit.
Is still a very good left back, but I do think at 17,
as a general player, it's Lewis Skelly. But as a left back, who I'd want to play left back for my team, it would be Lewis Hall. If I wanted a player for my squad,
but what do you want the left back to do? Because if it's England, clearly Tuchel wants the left back to move into midfield with Rice. So then you want Lewis Skelly doing that because he's a midfielder.
Yeah, a lot of it's down to personal preference. At the end of the day,
I'd say at a Liverpool, I'd probably say Lewis Hall would be more suited to Liverpool in the current way you play than Lewis Skelly.
Can I just say, I actually think, Dan, when you said about Lewis Skelly playing for England and Leny Yoro not playing from France. I don't think that's down to the difference between both. I think that's down to the pool of players that France have to
Wait,
pick
what did I
from
say? No, I
as
didn't
center
say that.
backs.
I just said if they match each other, like one
I
plays
don't think
10,
Yoro
12
will
years.
match them. The thing about it that
Oh, is
because
that
of
what you mean?
Saliba,
Right, okay.
because of Saliba being there and other center backs in France, I think it's much more
Okay,
difficult.
then
to
It's
start
harder
with
to get
France.
into that
if it
French
doesn't
back
matter-
line than it is to get
Basically,
in
the left
England's
back for
left back.
England
Yoro-
is Luke
if Yoro-
Shaw, guys. So anybody, you would start as a left back for England. Like we're talking about Tarek Mitchell as a starting left back for England. So basically,
They have
Lewis
no
Kelly is
options,
miles
right?
ahead of them. There's no option there.
But
So it's
we're
much
not- the-
easier to
the-
play as a
the-
left
the
back for
start
England
left
than play
back-
as centre back.
The
Yeah, but you
starting
can only
left
play
back
in the
for
position
England has
you're-
been Kieran
you can only-
Trippier.
Yeah, but hold for it's not Yoro's fault that he was born French and there is
But it's
people
not,
ahead of him.
Skelly's fault. It's not Skelly's fault that someone viewed him as a left back and that was where his career took him. If he
I
decides
actually think he's
play
going to be a
the rest-
brilliant left back, to be honest. I actually
So do
think
I.
that.
I think we've seen so far him already be a really good left back. So for him to become
You know-
great and brilliant isn't that far away, really, with what we've seen at 17 years old. But
To be honest with you-
if Yoro can't have that career and have a higher ceiling than that, Yoro has to break into that French team and be one of the best in that pool to have a higher ceiling than what Skelly has, doesn't he? Because Skelly's going to get to the top of the game if he carries on this trajectory.
The thing is, I think
He's got
I
it.
think Miles Lewis Skelly's ability on the ball, like every single asset, every one of Miles Lewis Skelly's best assets are just perfect for him to be a left eight. His ability to receive the ball at any angle, his ability to drive forward, take players on, his eye for a pass, the way he jabs balls through the lines, like in every way, I just think he needs to be in midfield.
The
Arsenal
second
should
coming
be
of Jack
figuring
Wilshere, or
not even Jack Wilshere. I think he's a lot stronger than Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite as intricate as Wilshere, and I don't think his intelligence is the same as Wilshere's. But yeah, I just think long term he's got to be a midfielder, and it's far easier to solve a left back issue than like coming across a decent left back is a lot easier than coming across.
does he get into if he plays there? Or obviously he's a bit younger than everyone else, but does he? He's not getting into England's midfield though, is he? In that position,
I don't know. I don't know
No.
because we
There's
don't
too
have
many-
many. We don't have
Probably
many
not.
out and out eights. We don't have many eights. We have Declan Rice who will lock down the six, and we have quite a few players that you argue should be tens. But we're already talking about like moving Bellingham back to the eight because that's better than. Yeah, who are the other eight options? Like Curtis Jones. It was Henderson, obviously. Who?
Big up Curtis Jones.
Like Mainu. Wharton's more of a six than an eight, really.
yeah. I don't know. Wharton, maybe Rice gets moved to an 8. I'm not sure. I don't know how
Yeah.
Tuchel will see it, but
But-
I think Jude would potentially be better off moving back towards an 8 than being at a 10. I
Yeah.
think.
I think it'll always help as long as Rice is the six, which I assume he will be for a long time. It's always going to help if Lewis Skelly's got a club level.
I mean,
partnership with him anyway.
I wouldn't be shocked if Tuchel tries out Morgan Rogers as an ace.
Well, you had both Bellingham and Rodgers as kind of either side of Rice in the international break, which I
Yeah, you do.
liked. But
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
But listen,
Morgan
people,
Rogers is
the last super chat is always saying put Yoro in the left back and see if he can read the game well. But left centre back is someone
You
that you
think
have
it's
to read the
easier
game
to
as well.
read game from center back
Yeah.
than left back?
Yeah, I don't get that. You have to
Yeah,
read
I don't
centre
get that.
back.
It's-
Also, just
But
says anytime
centre
I
back
mention
is
Arsenal,
harder
he
to
just gets
read the game.
defensive.
Yeah. Anyway,
This is-
listen,
honestly, if
people.
someone can read the game, put them in central midfield.
I think we'll see what happens tomorrow. But listen, now we're gonna do the MHF with Hussam, Anthony, and Ryan. We'll talk about some aspects. So go there, just stay with us here. This video is gonna take you over there. Staffy TV in the description, Dan Shaw in the description, Rory Talks Football on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere, and Tom Little, of course. So big up everybody that is here. Hit that like button before you go. Let's get to 200 likes. And now I'll see you guys on the other side. So thank you so much. We're out of here, people.